I don't need no man, right? You know what I'm talking about because you guys do that too. Wait a minute. This man is crazy? Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It's your resident internet psychic medium and spiritual advisor, and today I have a little bit of explaining to do. So, hi. So it's been a while.
Hey. How y'all doing?
I figured that before I start putting content back out there, I feel like some of you are going to have questions. Mr. Crane, where have you been? You left us with the cliffhanger telling us you were getting engaged, and then it was curtains. It was crickets. What happened, right? So I figured I'd give you guys an update and let you know what's been going on in my life, because my life has been very beautiful. I have been very blessed, and there has been opportunities flying at me that I have been snatching up, and I have been in a space of recalibration. I did get engaged. I'm still engaged. I am happily in love. We are in the process of planning everything and planning for a wedding and for a marriage and what our lives are going to look like. And it's an incredibly beautiful experience. And I feel so blessed and so lucky to have met this man. And what I think happened at that time when I had initially got engaged, I was so excited, but I was also in a state of shock. And so coming out of that experience, I needed a moment to process where my life just went, the turn that just happened. And I also needed time to fall into a place of acceptance. And now, what do I mean by that? And so I'm going to share this with you because I feel like I'm not the only person that probably has gone through this experience or will go through this experience, because like energy attracts like energy. I say that all the time. And if you are drawn to this channel, then there's some parts of our journey that have a tendency to crisscross and overlap. But I've learned a lot since then, and so I want to share it with you, right? So going into that phase of life before meeting my now fiance, and I spoke a little bit about this in my last video that I uploaded, but I had actually gone through, I wouldn't call it a heartbreak, at least not today, because now that I've had a chance to process everything, but there was a major disappointment dating wise. And that major disappointment did to me what it does to a lot of people, which is get you into a space where you go, you know what? I'm going to die alone. I'm dying alone. Nobody out here. I'm not going to find anybody out here. Love doesn't exist anymore. Everyone out here is playing a game, because the state of the dating scene is horrendous. It really genuinely is horrendous. And if you sit in the dating scene too long, then it's hard not to walk away from that experience feeling jaded, feeling hopeless, feeling like maybe the good people have already been snatched up, feeling like maybe it's just not going to happen for you. And I was in that place. I was in that place. I was going to turn 30, right? My birthday was coming up, and then I'm also a woman, and we have this biological thing that happens to us as well, right? And then you start thinking to yourself, you know what? It's just not in my cards. And then upon thinking that, there was a thing that happened where I fell into a state of acceptance with that it just wasn't in my cards and that it just wasn't going to happen for me. And so I had figured out a way to design my life that was really fitting for a single person. I had designed my life in a way that worked for hyper independence. And my life was going swimmingly, so I thought. And I was 3 to 4 months into my hyper independence journey of I'm dying alone. And then this man just walked into my life. Literally. It was the most divine sequence of events that I had possibly, it was so, it was a blessing, but at that time I had felt it was bizarre. We had met on Tinder, we matched, and then within a week, he looked at me and he was like, oh no, I know you're going to be the one that I'm going to marry. I already know. And so for me, I was like, wait a minute. Hold on. You're talking to like Miss Independent over here. I don't know what it is. Like, this is what we're not doing any of that. This man is crazy, right? I was like, he's crazy. And I remember he had such a sort of smug confidence in the midst of my freaking out of him saying, no, you're the one. I know you're the one. I don't need any more time in that. He knew right away, immediately, and he expressed it immediately. And I then had to deal with what I thought, like the thoughts that I had that I was going to be alone for forever. With that, the thoughts that I had that like maybe I wasn't lovable or wasn't lovable enough or wasn't good enough to be picked or chosen. All of those things swirled at one time. And I had to like adjust to that. So then I was busy having multiple panic attacks, naturally. And with his confident smugness, he kind of had this air of like, okay, obviously you need time to come to terms. I'm going to let you have time to come to terms, but we're doing this. But I'm going to let you, freak out and do whatever it is that you have to do about it because I already know what it is that's happening and what it is that we're doing. And so I did. I proceeded to freak out. And I remember feeling so lucky, so blessed, so loved, so honored, so accepted. But with all of those beautiful feelings that I was getting from somebody else, I had to reconcile the feelings that I had about myself and whether or not I believed I deserved anything, let alone love. Those were feelings that I didn't know that I had. I didn't know I actually possessed those things, especially being, on the internet. Duchess, darling, I am talking to the people and you're now over here cleaning yourself and making a lot of noise. Being on the internet as your resident internet spiritual advisor, part of the issue with that is that you feel like you're doing a lot of spiritual work yourself, and you are. But I'm still human and I'm still going through things. And there were things that popped up that were residing in my shadow that I didn't know was there, or things that I had thought I had already taken care of or healed. And during that phase, realized that I hadn't. And I knew deep down spiritually that if I didn't take care of these things, that this beautiful man that had walked into my life would have to walk out of it again. Not because he would leave me, but because I would have been so self-destructive that I would have pushed him away. And so I needed to do work on myself. I remember sitting at brunch with one of my girlfriends, talking to her about this. And I remember saying to her, I have a profound amount of healing to do in an incredibly short amount of time. And she was like, how are you going to do that? And I was like, I have no idea how I'm going to do it because I don't even know what's wrong with me. All I know is that where I'm at now is not in alignment. And if I want to be in a place where I welcome all of this love, I need to sort that out. And so this is what I have learned in the process, because I feel a lot better now. And I'm very much comfortable in that phase and in that state of just being in love. Love is, if we want to talk about like what abundance is, what is the epitome of abundance? It is love. It, material can fall into that, money can fall into that, opportunities can fall into that. But if you really want to feel abundant, you have to experience love. And in order to experience love, you have to be love yourself. In order to be love yourself, you have to learn how to love yourself, including all of those things and all those pieces of you that you haven't quite come to terms with. It's a journey in order for you to accept that into your life, because once you allow the love to come to you, the genuine love, your life expands. It becomes so much more abundant. Everything energetically opens up, right? And so when I figured that out, my life expanded. All of a sudden, I had all these opportunities that were flying at me and money, right? That was coming to me. And I ended up moving, which was not something that I had initially anticipated. Granted, I say that now, and the idea is like, well, if you're getting married, like, aren't you going to move? But you have to understand that prior to the whole thing happening, I was very much in like Mystic Rain mode. It was a very self-centered, self-absorbed phase, so much so I didn't even know that that's what I was in. I didn't know that that's what I was doing. I didn't realize that that's what it was until when I started to actually come out of the phase. Then I was like, oh, that's actually what this is. And so, but then I moved. And when I moved into like a house with like square footage. And like you see now, my filming location isn't even the same anymore because I don't live there anymore. And I now have a home office, right? Not like a nook and like one room or in a corner like I used to have in like a tiny one bed apartment. Like now I have like space. And when I was meditating on the idea of it and like talking to spirit and asking spirit, like, what is happening to me? I feel energetically all over the place, but yet all of these things are coming into my life. They explained to me that in order for you to receive or in order for you to have the opportunities as big as you asked for, not the opportunities that we're bringing you, not the opportunities that are meant for you, the opportunities that you specifically said that you wanted. You need more room. You need more space to hold it. You want all of these things. And when you're in that tiny one bed apartment on the basement level, you have nowhere to put any of that. You need space to actually hold it. And when we're talking about space to hold it, we're not talking about material items, although if you want that, you can have that too, right? Just the energy that opportunities in general have, that opportunities in general hold, requires space in order to exist. It has to have somewhere to sit. And where you were, there was no room, is how they were explaining it to me. And I remember prior to meeting my fiance, sitting in that tiny apartment, feeling like not necessarily that I was suffocating, but that like I had outgrown it or that I didn't have enough room for things. And so what happened like that last year in that apartment, I was always purging. I was always throwing things out, getting rid of a lot of stuff. And then I would be so satisfied for like a week that I threw a lot of things out. And then I would sit on the couch, look around, and then I would feel like it was cluttered again. Even though it wasn't. I was actually getting rid of things, not gaining things. But it didn't matter how many things I got rid of. I felt like I was like popping out of pants after going to a Chinese buffet, right? Like energetically, I couldn't figure out what that was. And then after moving, they were like, it's because you just energetically didn't have enough space for what it is that you're supposed to experience, the opportunities that are supposed to come to you in the next phase of your life, which is going to be expansion. Now, here I am walking to the next phase of my life, and it's expanding, family wise, right? Me being able to create my own family, that was a journey and healing itself, right? I've always had shadows around my view of family because, my family passed away so early on in my life. I have spent the last 10 years of my life alone and by myself. And so that also contributed to a lot of hyper independence as well. I spent the 10 years going, I'm good, I'm fine, I don't need anybody else, like screw everybody, right? And because nobody was there when I needed them, everyone dropped dead, and I was there by myself, and here I am thriving. I don't need anybody, I don't need no man, right? You know what I'm talking about because you guys do that too. I don't need anybody. Nobody is of use to me, right? And then with that came, well, I'm not going to even worry about family either. I don't need family because I spent all this time without them. I don't need them. And then because I also had a thing about not being sure if I would ever find love, then I also ruled out children because I need somebody to mate with. And if I can't get somebody to text me back or not ghost me after a first date, how the hell am I supposed to have kids, right? I can't get anyone to stick around long enough. So then that turned into this idea of like, well, I'm never going to have kids either, right? And so, but in this phase of my life, I had to confront all of those things and I had to revisit my idea of family. I had to accept that family isn't just given to you, that you also have the ability to create family. And I recognize that for a lot of people, that may seem like a very duh moment. Like, of course you would, right? For whatever reason, that's just not the place in my life that I was in at that time. And realizing that if you were to create family, what do you need? You need space, right? Because that is a form of expansion. If you have money coming in, you may be having more business opportunities coming in as well. Where are you conducting all of that business from? Prior, when I was in my tiny apartment, it was all being done at the kitchen table, which was like a tiny table, and I never had any room. Now it's like, no, you need space in order to be able to properly hold the resources that you're going to need in order to manifest the stuff that you've been saying that you've been wanting for the last however many years. And that was also something that I had to kind of accept and understand and deal with as well. So I was just going through a lot of reconciling of feelings and thoughts and confronting myself and my own self-limiting beliefs about who I was, what I could have, who could love me, if I could ever be loved. And then with that, learning how to love another individual in a way that that person deserved as well. Because the problem is when you are learning to love yourself, you are mean to yourself sometimes in that process. And because there was this person who I loved dearly, I didn't want to inadvertently treat that person how I was treating myself. So that was a journey in and of itself as well, healing the things that made me not be kind to myself in order to make sure that I can always be kind to him. And I'm saying this now because I recognize that I have put out tons of content about loving yourself, being kind to yourself, and those are all things that I stand by. Those are all things that I believe. I also have periods in my life where I'm doing better than others. I have periods of my life where I am in a full, genuine space of self-love, and then something could happen that rattles me, and then I fall out of that space and I have to get back there again. I'm not perfect. I'm a human. And so the same journey that I may assist you on or facilitate you through is the same journey that I'm on as well. That's why I have the ability to do it, because as I learn, I have the opportunity to share what I've picked up. I have the opportunity to then teach what I've learned. And so, but that phase of my life required me to now practice what I had been preaching the entire time. And today, I feel like I'm in a much better space. I feel a lot lighter. I feel really blessed. I am no longer in that state of shock. The shock that came from feeling like, wait, you love me? Why would you do that? Like, why would you love me? Like, why? I don't fully understand this, right? Coming out of that place, right? Coming out of like the, oh my God, I'm actually getting married, when I had thought that I never would get married, or that I would never really have that opportunity. And now it all hit me, and it hit me so quick. And I don't know if I actually mentioned this in a previous video, but it actually happened really fast. When we met, it wasn't, first I will say, it wasn't like the movies, like this whole like sparks fly type thing. It wasn't like this. When we met, it was a feeling of falling into immediate alignment. All of a sudden, everything felt peaceful. Everything felt safe. Everything felt calm. Everything felt just right. When we were with each other, it felt like there was this puzzle piece that was missing that I never realized was missing. And it just fell slowly and gently into place where it was supposed to be. And what I learned there was that, people say sparks need to fly, sparks need to fly. If there's no sparks, there's no chemistry, blah, 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 blah. But what I learned is that the person that gives you the safety cannot also be the person that gives you the thrill. That was the first time in my life where I had felt safe. I remember being at brunch with the same girlfriend that I mentioned earlier, and she said, well, what is different about it? Like, what is it about him? And I said to her, I don't know, I just feel safe. And being on my own for the last 10 years of life, where I didn't really have family or anything like that, and I'm just in the world figuring it out, I was always on guard. There was always this feeling of like hypervigilance. And then he walked into my life and I felt like I could breathe. And that was what it felt like. It felt like it was just a state of alignment. And when we weren't together, it felt like we were out of alignment. And not out of alignment in a separation anxiety kind of way, out of alignment and like energetically, that doesn't feel quite right. Like energetically, we're stronger together. And it's so fascinating because it was when that happened, like I said before, that my life then expanded. All of a sudden, money came in, opportunities came in, my life went boom once he walked into my life. And he said he knew right away that he didn't need a whole lot of time. And then we were engaged within 2 months. And for a lot of people, that is shocking, right? Like, oh my God, how do you know? but we are thriving, and it is a happy relationship. And it is the one decision that I have made in my life that I know that if I made an alternative decision, it would have been something that I would have regretted, right? And that was weird to me too. I had to come to terms with that because I have always been that woman that was really sure of herself and sure of what it was that she was doing. And like, here you go, you're meeting this other person who is completely messing up my hyper independence, right? The story that I had woven for myself, and now I have to rewrite the story, right? And so that was an adjustment. That was a period of adjustment. That was an entire phase. And it took me this long to feel like I'm reaching a level of calibration where I can now come back to YouTube, start working on my podcast and doing other things. So that's an update, really. You know what I mean? I had a slight emotional breakdown when I initially got engaged, not because of him, but because of me and the fact that I really genuinely need to work on myself. And then after that, my life expanded and opportunities and beautiful things came my way, and I wanted to take care of that and not be distracted. And when I said that, when I got to a place where I felt like I reached a level of equilibrium, then I would start posting again on YouTube. So it was just more so of a hiatus, or a needed hiatus, in order for me to properly recalibrate. But with that, one of the opportunities that have come up actually affect all of you. I'm so excited about it too. And I think you guys are really going to be excited about it as well. In this particular moment, I can't say a lot about it. In a few months, you will start hearing a lot about it. I'm so excited. And so much so that when I am allowed to announce what it is that I'm actually working on, I'm actually going to need your help. I'm going to need your help. I'm going to need your feedback. I'm going to need your honest opinions about things. And so I'm going to be turning to you all a lot for support. But I'm really excited about what I have up my sleeve and what's coming down on this way to you. And the reason why I'm so excited about it is because I feel like the thing that I'm about to announce is something that was co-created with you all. And I believe as well that the majority of it was manifested by you all. And I say that because what you have all asked of me over the last few years has actually come into fruition. And those of you that have specifically asked for it, I think you're going to be incredibly excited because I think the manifestation was a long time coming. And so I'm really excited to be able to share that with you all when I can actually share that with you. But yeah, other than that, I just wanted to give you an update. And I feel like that for me is a really vulnerable update, but it's an honest update of what was going on and where I was. I was just in a beautiful period of growth in my life. My heart was growing. Who I was as a person was growing. Who I was as a woman was growing. And I learned a lot in that process. And I think I'm better off today than I was then. And so the wisdom that I've picked up since then, I do plan on sharing with you all, particularly the things that I've learned about love and how to find love and how to navigate love and how to spot what is love and what's not love. Because love is a massive part of the spiritual journey. That was something else that I've learned that is probably the biggest part of the spiritual journey, but due to the state of the dating atmosphere and climate today, it's actually something that I think that maybe people don't talk about as much as it probably should be spoken about. And so I want to talk to you all a little bit about that as well. But that will be for another video because I'm burning up the battery. And yeah, I have planned to push more things out soon. I am working on the podcast. I think I said that earlier as well. For those of you that don't know, I usually do one season a year for the podcast, just because bandwidth and capacity. And so that's usually all I have the opportunity to push out. But that is in motion too. So, hopefully you guys will end up with a lot of content specifically in the later part of this year. probably after July or so, I think you guys will be seeing a lot more of me. That's all I have to say for this video. I will be back. I did not quit. I was just on hiatus. Those of you that have been with me for a minute knows that when I have a moment, I have a tendency to retreat a little bit to deal with myself, right? That's all that was. But I'm here and I'm okay. And as always, if you like what you see, please subscribe to this channel. And I will see you all soon with more information, tidbits, and wisdom that I've picked up.